Jacques. And of course, to our top story, it's all about magical Kenya Open that concluded yesterday at the Muthaiga Golf Club here in Nairobi. And of course, South African Jacques was the cream de la cream of the show, emerging top and of course taking home a staggering 55 million Kenya shillings, something that will get ZT smiling all the way to the bank. But for now, it's for Jacques. Steve, I'll begin with you. A fine weekend of golf, and of course you can see the action there. This went to South African, and of course the question is, every year, every time we try this, but Kenyan golfers are not challenging, not even coming close. Basically, your prognosis of the whole event, Steve.
It has always graced our country, the magical Kenya. But again, the notion and the perception that it's a rich man's game is something that as stakeholders need to really fight off so that to attract talents. You can't tell me that we can have talent in athletics, talent in football, in rugby, and then lack talent in golf. So I think the perception and the approach is something that we really need to fight off and take the game really to the grassroots, because it's really played, if not at Muthaiga Golf Club, probably, you see, they're like private clubs. Take it to Kakamega, for example, and invest richly there. You will get talent, because there's nothing new about it. It's something that we can really pick up and move with it, if only we can invest in the right direction. But again, we don't take the honors of what Magical Kenya has done to Kenya, because it has always showcased this beautiful country and has always marketed it as a tourist destination, because as Isia was saying, it's a game played in Kenya but won by foreigners. So that means we are raking in foreign exchange. So in my view, it's a win-win situation.
So, Chitera, if I heard him right, he wants this competition to be taken to his village or for example, of Kakamega, but I'm not really sure if we'll win it if we take it to Kakamega. Isi, I'll come to you first. Maybe your thoughts on this. Of course, you follow the game closely, but again, term after term we fall short. But Steve has raised a fundamental issue. Apart from the sports element we see there, this is also part of sports tourism. And I think in the run-up to this, I think day 2 or day 1, we had sport tourism CS basically there, trying to say, highlight what the country is doing in terms of brand Kenya and so on and so forth. But basically, your thought on the entire thing, how it went down?
You know, what Kenyans should be happy about some of these events is that we host a lot of delegations from outside the country. And that is just one side of it. But allow me to quote one Ambrose Rachier. You know, he likes reminding people when people talk about short force at Kogalo, that the first agenda of any sporting entity is winning titles. You understand? And so I would say that as far as, you know, tourism and marketing of the country is concerned, there we score big time. But when it comes to the question of winning, there are always questions that why should we be hosting a tournament that we do not even make to the final day? You understand? By the time we are coming to the 75 best who make the final, you know, two rounds, there is no Kenyan there. And I think the big problem is that what Chitera was insinuating is not just a perception that it is a rich man's game. That is the truth. Because you look at some of the memberships that you require to, you know, play in some of these clubs, it becomes very difficult for an ordinary, you know, to be able to compete. So at the end of the day, the comparison again that he made is that we have athletes, for example, and footballers who start training at a very tender age, so that by the time they are maturing, they are professionals. But most of the players who are playing as our pros are people who interacted with the game way advanced, and really you see them in the game for a long time. With all due respect, since I started following golf, we have the same names as our pros.
Yeah, in the out.
Somoyangu, you know, Jacob, the likes of Indiza, Kina Charania, who did actually the best within the Kenyan ranks. So the question is, how do we fund even those pros who are playing here? Because again, you realize that some of the top players, like the gentleman who won, some of those guys are funded by corporates.
Actually, there was that debate, sorry for cutting you short, in our sports group. You saw that. People were saying, you have these big corporates coming at the last minute because they feel magical Kenya is big and it's a time for them to hog the limelight. That's not really how to build the sport and these pros. How about you come and commit and walk the journey throughout with them? Take them to Europe for specialized training throughout this leg rather than just waiting for the day of the harvest, and you are there probably to hog the limelight.
That is it. That's why I mentioned and said that we look at one side of the game. That is the investments. I mean, or the showcasing of our country, and that's why the big corporate you're mentioning about, they will come when all eyes are on these events. The question would be, how would, for example, the sponsors, and really we also need to thank them for pouring their money there, how much more would they profit if we were to see a Kenyan winning this? And maybe in the run up to the main event, we see some of these corporates also working with some of the players. So that we don't have players who are not able to play in some of these legs well from beginning of the year to the end. And lastly, if you remember, Aswila, before the event, there was an issue that was raised by some of the Kenyan golfers, and they were saying, for a long time, more than, I think, around 8 or 10 slots have been given to foreigners that deserve to be Kenyan slots. And it was a big matter. Yeah. So they were also saying that some of the qualifiers that are played here before to mark the people who qualify, then are not done in the best way possible. You understand? So that you don't have people who have, you don't get the best, you know. People need to play a lot before they come to this event. So basically, I think there's a question of sponsorship, which is going to enable people. And there's the same thing as we normally see in Safari Rally. We want to see people who are competing at the highest level throughout the year before the event, so that by the time we're competing against the best in the world, then we are somewhere.
Brenda, is this a rich man's or a rich kid's game, as the two have insinuated, and probably how do we popularize it? It still may be a Mombasa or a Nairobi elitist game.
Yeah, I think golf remains very elitist. Just by virtue of even seeing where it is played, seeing who has access to where it is played, even just the basic understanding of the game. It really would take, like, you look at the caliber of players that they do have worldwide, it's not even a Kenyan thing only, because even if you look at the South Africans who are winning, it's not because purely talent and all, they're also very elitist. So I think if we are to open up that sport, I don't think it's going to be a very easy thing to do. But at the same time, the fact that there are people who are pouring in their money, at this point, allow me to be the devil's advocate. You're talking about sponsors should not just come at the last minute, but what value are they going to be getting throughout? If, again, these particular players that they want to showcase, or rather to walk with the journey to the finals and all, are not bringing in good results, because automatically having a sponsor as a player would mean that your results are outstanding. For you to attract the best, you definitely have to be the best in the game. But if it gets to a point where the best Kenyan is not even in top 70-something, I mean, it does not augur well with even anyone who would want to sponsor the game. So they'd rather sponsor the entire event and get their return instead of looking for the individual player. But at this point, I think it will take a lot for us to open up the sport. Because again, there are interests that are safely guarded so that the golfing sport remains as it is. So I think let us just focus on sports zenye tumezoea. Taking this
where she tells some stories. But Zita, what are your thoughts?
I think if I want to have good maids kwa nyumbani,
yes,
I will have, lazima nilime shamba vizuri, nitoe hizo inaitwa magugu. When I want to plant, na lazima mvua kanyeshe kidogo, ni plant, niweke mbolea na kila kitu. And that is what we don't do in the golf industry. Unaelewa? The same names you're seeing because uko chini hakuna wale watu wako huko chini, they're being cultivated, yani wanawekewa hizo vitu vizuri so that we can get the best players. And something else is it's all about like how popular is the sports. Do we see any golf tournaments in schools? No. I saw something, I was reading somewhere, and I saw in Nigeria, they've started even under 13 golf tournament. Do we have that in Kenya? Do we have kids that tunasema these are inter schools?
Maybe we have a few. We have a few actually, but run corporate.
Yes, corporate.
NCB has been doing this, I think.
But you also look at which schools.
Yes, which schools. Elite schools peke yake. But kuna mtu huko nyumbani mwenye anajua kurusha hata mchale, akifanya hivi, amelima vizuri, nguvu iko kwa mkono, akipiga hiyo kitu inaenda mpaka huko. You do not, we have been having this mentality of whereby Shitara has been saying, sisi mtatupea tu rugby huko Kakamega kwa sababu mmeamua hii mchezo ya golf ikuwe wapi hapa Nairobi. But again, we need to go, if you need the best, if you need the Kenyans to do well in the golf industry, we need to go back and now nurture the small people. Let us make these sports popular. That's why unapata mtu anacheza ball ya nini ya karatasi huko Kibira kwa matope, because anajua this is one thing that can help me. But again, golf ukimwambia we used to have a apple where Moise Dini is hapa ifi Kibera across Cabernet Gardens. We used to have a golf course there. I don't know if it's still working, because at the end of it utaniangalia, nindatoa mtoto wangu Kibira apelekwe Kitusuru, atakubaliwa kuingia acheze kwa hii golf nini. Unaelewa? So such things we need to I know they have a federation. I know they have a federation, but again, if the federation needs to do well, if the federation needs the names to be up there, they need to know what to do. Go back. It doesn't matter where the kid is from. It doesn't matter where the person is from. Maybe even I'm the best in golf, but sijaienda huko. But again, we need to go and choose the best of the best, so that easy names tunaonanga every tournament na hakuna kitu inatupea. They need to be
it's a lost opportunity.
It's a lost opportunity.
Okay, challenge there to the Golf Federation, but now Jacob is here, is ready to count the cash. Remember, this is one of the tournaments where winners take home quite colossal sums of money, and Jacob is ready to break it down. Jacob?
Yes, thank you, Swila. And the debate is very, indeed, nice there. The question of value. This is all about money, because there is one side that feels that even if all the money goes and we have tourism driving, then we are making it. But let's just see what really was taken home by some of the players here. Because the total prize money was Kenya shilling 324 million. And you can see really how they started the kind of the money from 7th place to 6th place. The kind of money they were earning there is something that you'd really expect that you know, people would be smiling if Kenyans were to get some of this money. Ingekuwa inazunguka somewhere here in Kenya from the 7th place, 6th place, you know, 9.7 from the 7th place million. You know, 11.3 million Kenya shillings for the 6th place, 5th place again being the amount of money that was won by the 5th place. Then we go to now going to the top. What was happening there again? It is something you know to behold for the players who are playing there. The 4th place, 16.2 million Kenya shillings. 3rd place, 20.4 million Kenya shillings. You know, all that money, we don't have a Kenyan there. And of course, the winner, like I mentioned, you see 55 million Kenya shilling. That is how it went. But again, when it came to the just run of how the event was, it was a 4-day event. You can just imagine the kind of money that was poured for that 4-day event. That's why people are speaking about the idea of having all these corporates coming in the last minute. And it's a debate, really. Based South African, and is Jacques Cruise Week winning the title. It was his maiden for the DP World Tour. Remember, before it was a European tour, now it is the DP World Tour, and of course getting that amount of money that we have just mentioned. Englishman John Perry is the one who came in second, and indeed it was again an all foreigners affair. All the monies we are shipping away. Swila?
All the monies chipping away, and of course, quite good money there. Of course, the top 10 as high as 9 million. That would get you an apartment in Kilimani, but away
not
from
affordable housing.
No, not affordable housing.